Yeah, I think we need to make the distinction here, though. This is BBC News independently investigating the story just as we are, and BBC Corporate. We have heard nothing from BBC management with regard to this. BBC management who are now coming under some serious questioning with regard to the slow pace, it seems, of that initial investigation into the allegations that were made, first of all, on the 18th of May, that resulted in, first of all, an email being sent that got no reply, and then 2.5 weeks passing before a phone call was made that didn't connect, and then no further phone calls were made until the Sun contacted the BBC with the news that they were going to splash the allegations the next again day. Only at that point did BBC management speak to this presenter. So clearly some very serious questions for BBC management to answer on this, and they have not, certainly according to that article, just reading it like you, Patrick, made any comment thus far. But the BBC News, independent of the management structure here, have reached out to the presenter directly, asking for comment through either him or through the lawyers, and has received nothing back at this stage. But a significant and a serious development and allegation that's being made, and it may well be that also is included in this scoping exercise that the Metropolitan Police is carrying out, because specifically this young person making this allegation talks about being quite fearful now in response to the communications that this person received, and the fact that those communications were abusive and expletive laden. There may well, in that sense then, be an offence that has taken place. Something, of course, for the police to consider in this scoping exercise that they're carrying out. But I think clearly a very significant development in this case, with BBC News, independent of the corporate structure here, investigating the story like everyone else, speaking to another young individual who has come forward and made completely separate allegations to those made on the 18th of May.
Let's just take a little bit of a step back again, just in terms of the previous allegations that had been doing the rounds now for the last few days, Mark. Tim Davie, the BBC Director General, gave an interview earlier on, and he confirmed, as I believe the police have confirmed, Scotland Yard have confirmed, that they've asked the BBC to stop their internal investigation into that first raft of allegations whilst the police do a scoping exercise. So just recap that for us, if that's OK.
Yes, so that is where they are at the moment in terms of being able to continue with the internal investigation into the allegations that were received. It doesn't stop them, of course, looking into their own internal structures about what they did more generally in dealing with complaints, and saying that clearly, as far as flagging up, allegations that are serious in nature further up the chain, perhaps there are lessons to be learned, a bit of an understatement maybe, that they need to then address. It's worth, I think, just briefly going through, if we can, Patrick, that timeline from the initial complaint that was made on the 18th of May. The complainant, a family member of the person at the centre of the allegations, turned up, we're told, at a BBC building where they made a complaint about the behaviour of the BBC presenter. Now, on the 19th of May, the complainant contacted BBC Audience Services, again reiterating that complaint, and it was passed on to corporate investigative services. The investigations team carried out their own initial assessment. They assessed that complaint was serious, but they also maintained that there was no allegation of criminality. But they then emailed the complainant, did not get a reply to their email. But then, after that, waited another 2.5 weeks and takes us forward now to the 6th of June. On the 6th of June, they telephoned the complainant. That call didn't connect, and then they made no effort, it seems, to contact either by email or telephone call to the complainant until the Sun contacted them on the 19th, or I should say on the 6th of July, just the day before these allegations were splashed across the Sun last Friday. And it was at that point that they then spoke to the presenter at the centre of the allegations.
Mark, thank you very, very much. That's Mark White there. He's outside New Broadcasting House for us. Any updates? And, excuse me, it's reasonable to expect that there may well be some very shortly.